When Jonathan Roumie touched the ancient spear beneath the Colosseum, he wasn't Jonathan anymore. For 17 minutes, he was Longinus, the Roman centurion who killed Jesus. He felt the weapon's weight. He smelled blood and dust. He heard screams and thunder. And he lived the crucifixion through Longinus's eyes. The spear had memory, and it chose Jonathan to see what really happened. He wasn't in Rome by accident. He was preparing for the final season of The Chosen, which made him Jesus to 600 million people. But when his director gave him 3 days off, something pulled him to the Colosseum. A whisper that said you need to be there. That whisper led him to a door no tourist had found. To a chamber sealed for 2,000 years. To a Vatican archaeologist who'd spent 30 years searching for a Roman soldier who killed Christ, then tried to save his message. And to a spear that doesn't tell history. It makes you live it. When Jonathan touched that iron blade, still stained after 2 millennia, he became the killer. He felt Longinus pierce flesh. He felt the earthquake. He heard himself whisper, truly this was the Son of God. But the spear showed more. It showed why he was chosen to play Jesus. Why his life prepared him not for acting, but for a mission to save 30,000 ancient artifacts from destruction in 48 hours. To prove forgiveness turned soldiers into saints and actors into witnesses. This is what Jonathan found beneath Rome. Not relics, but breathing memory. A weapon that chooses who sees truth. A message sealed in iron and blood, waiting 2,000 years for someone worthy. Watch this video to discover what those 17 minutes revealed. How death's tool became resurrection's proof. And why Jonathan said through tears, I finally understand why I was born. The tunnels beneath the Colosseum smelled like death. Stone, blood, prayers. Jonathan Roumie followed his guide through passages where Christians waited in cages. His phone cut through darkness that felt alive. He'd asked for a private tour to pray before filming the crucifixion. But something felt different. Like the air was waiting. Father Dante Rossi, Vatican archaeologist, explained Roman engineering. Jonathan wasn't listening. He'd felt this 5 years ago, first time speaking Jesus's words. That same presence. They entered restricted area. Father Dante stopped. Hasn't been open in 15 years. Thought you'd want to see where they kept Christian prisoners. Jonathan stepped forward. Walls covered in scratches. Crosses carved by fingernails. Names in Latin. One phrase repeated in Aramaic. The witness waits below. Father Dante whispered, I've spent 30 years trying to understand that. Below what? There's nothing below here. Jonathan's hand moved without thinking. Fingers tracing letters. The moment he touched them, his wedding ring vibrated. Impossible. Jonathan pressed his palm flat. Vibration grew. Then the wall moved. Stone sliding backward. Cold air rushed out, smelling like metal and myrrh. In 30 years, I've never seen that wall move. This section has been X-rayed. There's nothing behind it. But there was. Staircase descending into blackness. At the bottom, golden glow pulsing like a heartbeat. We need to go down, Jonathan said. Voice older. Like someone else speaking. This is not protocol. We need the Vatican. Jonathan was already moving. Father, I've played Jesus 5 years. Every instinct says I'm supposed to go down there. Father Dante made the sign of the cross. If we die, I'm blaming you. They descended. Walls covered in Aramaic, Hebrew, mathematical equations. This is advanced mathematics. But 1st century stone. Jonathan's ring vibrated stronger. Hand felt like fire. At the bottom, iron door. Across it in Aramaic, only the pure of heart may enter. Jonathan pushed. Swung open silently. Inside, impossible things. Spear against wall, blade dark with blood. Scrolls in clay jars. On stone altar, manuscript in Latin. I am Longinus. I killed the Son of God. This is my confession. Beneath that, one line. If you are reading this, you are the one I have been waiting for. The chamber was small. Stone walls perfectly smooth, carved with precision that made Father Dante's hands shake. Beyond Roman capability. Machine precise. But 1st century work. The air felt charged. And warm. After 2,000 years sealed, it should have been cold. Instead, it felt like someone just left. The spear stood against the wall. Not leaning. Standing. Perfectly balanced as if held by invisible hands. The blade was dark. Blood. Ancient blood preserved in the metal. If this is authentic, this is the most important Christian artifact in existence. The weapon that pierced Christ's side. Jonathan couldn't look away. His ring stopped vibrating, but his body hummed. Like every cell resonated with that spear. Father Dante photographed scrolls. Clay jars lined one wall, sealed with fresh-looking wax. He opened one. Papyrus scrolls perfectly preserved. Impossible. Papyrus degrades. He unrolled one. Face white. 1st century Aramaic. Medical description of crucifixion. Anatomically precise. Asphyxiation, fluid buildup, scourging effects. Knowledge that wouldn't exist for 1,900 years. Jonathan moved toward the spear. Don't touch it. But his hand was already reaching. Not curiosity. Something deeper. Like the spear knew him. His fingers wrapped around the shaft. Metal warm. Alive. The room exploded with light. Symbols glowing gold. Pulsing with his heartbeat. What did you do? Jonathan couldn't answer. He wasn't in the chamber. He was on a hill. Dust in throat. Sun burning. 3 crosses ahead. Screaming crowd behind. In his hands, the spear. Heavier. He looked down. His hands weren't his. Callous. Scarred. Longinus's hands. Walking toward the center cross. Toward a man hanging there. Broken. Bleeding. His mouth spoke Latin. Voice deeper. He couldn't stop walking. Couldn't stop raising the spear. Couldn't stop the thrust toward flesh, toward the side. The dying man turned his head. Looked directly at Jonathan. At Longinus. And smiled. Forgiveness. Understanding. Then came the thrust. The pierce. Blood and water. Thunder. Earthquake. Darkness. Longinus's voice, Jonathan's voice, screaming. Truly this was the Son of God. Jonathan dropped the spear. Gasped. Fell to his knees. Father Dante beside him. What happened? Jonathan shaking. Tears streaming. I was him. I was Longinus. I felt everything. The spear has memory. Father Dante stared at the weapon on the floor. Still glowing. Still warm. A spear that remembers. Jonathan looked at the manuscript on the altar. I am Longinus, it said. And now he understood. This wasn't just confession. It was a transfer. A passing of witness from the man who lived it to the man who needed to tell it. Jonathan sat on the floor, hands shaking. Father Dante brought water. Jonathan couldn't drink. Still seeing it. Still feeling Longinus's hands. Father Dante opened the manuscript. We need to read this. Longinus left this for you. Latin text. Military handwriting. Father Dante translated. I am Gaius Cassius Longinus. Centurion. I have executed 127 criminals by crucifixion. I felt nothing. I followed orders. Then came April 3rd, AD 33. The execution that destroyed everything. 3 criminals. One called King of the Jews. Standard execution. But from the moment I arrived at Golgotha, everything was wrong. The man was different. Silent. Dignified. No cursing. Just prayer. I had crucified hundreds. They all screamed. But this Jesus looked at soldiers driving nails through his wrists and said, Father, forgive them. They don't know what they do. I had never heard a condemned man pray for his executioners. It disturbed me. 3 hours. Darkness at noon. Earthquake. The order came. Break their legs. My men broke the legs of 2 thieves. But Jesus was already dead. Too fast. Pilate needed proof. I took my spear and thrust it into his side. Into the heart cavity. What came out changed everything. Water and blood. Separate. I had pierced hearts before. This was different. His heart had ruptured. He died from a broken heart. Then the earthquake. Temple veil tearing. I stood there with blood on my hands, feeling terror of the divine. Words came out I couldn't stop. Truly this man was the Son of God. Days after, I couldn't sleep. Kept seeing his face. kept hearing, "Father, forgive them." I began investigating. Interviewed disciples, witnesses, guards. 3 days after crucifixion, the tomb was empty. Guards claimed angels. Disciples claimed resurrection. Until 7 days later, Jesus appeared to me. Not a ghost. Solid. With wounds in his hands and side. Wounds I caused. I fell to my knees. Begged him to kill me. I had murdered God. But he touched my head and said, "Longinus, you freed me from that body. You witnessed my sacrifice. Now witness my resurrection. Tell them what you saw." That changed me forever. Baptized by Peter. Secret Christian. Spent 9 years documenting everything. Creating this chamber. Preserving the spear. Writing testimonies. Knowing I would die for it. March 15th, AD 42. Tomorrow I'm arrested. A centurion reported me for refusing to sacrifice to Caesar. I will be executed. I'm not afraid. I killed the Messiah and he forgave me. I lived 9 years I didn't deserve. I leave this testimony for whoever finds it. If you're reading this, you were meant to. The spear chose you. It will show you what it showed me. Use what you see. Tell the world. Forgiveness is real. Redemption is possible. Even for soldiers. Even for killers. Even for the man who pierced God's side. Jonathan looked up, tears streaming. He died for this. Spent 9 years preserving this testimony. Father Dante nodded. He waited 2,000 years for someone pure enough. Someone who'd spent years studying Jesus, portraying him. He waited for you. For a witness who could bridge ancient and modern. For an actor who could help the world see what Longinus saw. The spear lay between them, still glowing. Jonathan realized this wasn't about discovery. This was about responsibility. Longinus passed the witness. Now Jonathan had to decide what to do with it. Jonathan and Father Dante spent 3 hours photographing everything. But they knew the world wasn't ready. The moment they reported it, the chamber would flood with officials. The spear would be locked away. Its living memory lost. "We need the Vatican to see this first," Father Dante said. But climbing the stairs, his phone buzzed. 47 missed calls from the Vatican. All in the last hour. He called back. Face went white. "There's a crisis. Massive. Kind. Terrorists. The erasers. Planning attacks on Christian sites across Europe and the Middle East. Intelligence intercepted communications. They're destroying 30,000 artifacts in coordinated bombings." Father Dante checked his watch. 48 hours. The Vatican is trying to evacuate, but too many sites. Most in conflict zones. Why destroy Christian history? Because history proves truth. These contain evidence of early Christianity. Proof the Gospels aren't myths. Erase faith by erasing foundations. They reached the surface. Father Dante's phone rang. He handed it to Jonathan. "Vatican wants you. Mr. Roumie, this is Cardinal Toretti. Vatican intelligence. We need that spear." The spear holds locations of 11 other sites, where Longinus hid additional testimonies. The most important Christian artifacts in existence. Those are what the erasers are targeting. Longinus predicted this? Prepared for it. He knew someone would try to erase Christian history. Created a network protected by riddles only someone pure could unlock. Someone like you. The spear chose you. Touch it. Let it show you locations. Riddles. Longinus designed this for someone who understands Jesus deeply. Someone who can decode spiritual riddles scholars can't. Find those 11 sites in 48 hours. Help us protect them. Jonathan looked at Father Dante. The priest nodded. "This is why you found it. Why Longinus waited 2,000 years. Not just to tell his story. To save the evidence." Jonathan closed his eyes. "I'll do it." The next 36 hours blurred. Jonathan and Father Dante flew to Jerusalem. Vatican military helicopter. Time was everything. In flight, Jonathan held the spear. Still humming. When they landed, he touched it. The vision came faster. He saw through Longinus's eyes. 7 years after crucifixion. Jerusalem. Digging beneath pool of Siloam. Hiding clay jar containing Jesus's burial cloth. And the riddle. Where the blind man washed and saw, dig 7 cubits east of the pillar marked with fish. I know where it is. Found in 4 hours. The jar. Perfectly preserved. Inside cloth. And scroll from Mary Magdalene describing resurrection. Father Dante wept. Vatican security arrived. 1 down. 10 to go. Ephesus. Antioch. Each time Jonathan touched the spear, Longinus showed new location. New riddle. New artifacts. Rome, beneath Circus Maximus. Peter's sandals. Letter to Paul. Ephesus, hidden cave. John's personal gospel, his own hand, with annotations scholars debated centuries. Antioch, beneath church. Luke's medical instruments. Notes describing healings with clinical precision. Each discovery more impossible. Each artifact more precious. Each site protected hours before erasers struck. But with 12 hours left, 4 sites remained. Jonathan exhausted. Hadn't slept 30 hours. Hands shaking. Vision blurred. Father Dante, we're not going to make it. Father Dante grabbed his shoulders. Longinus walked to execution knowing his mission incomplete. Knowing he'd die before anyone found his work. But he had faith. Someone would come. Finish it. That someone is you. You are his completion. His redemption. Jonathan looked at the spear. Felt warmth. Heard a voice. Not his. Not Longinus's. Deeper. Older. Familiar from 5 years speaking his words. I am with you, boys. Exhaustion vanished. He touched the spear. Visions faster. Sharper. For locations in 4 hours. Corinth. Alexandria. Cyrene. Cappadocia. They split. Father Dante to Alexandria. Jonathan to Cappadocia. Vatican helicopters. Military escorts. Racing time. In Cappadocia, underground city carved into volcanic rock, Jonathan found the final cache. Largest. Chamber 3 times bigger than Rome's. Inside masterarch. Copies of every testimony Longinus collected. Every artifact preserved. Every piece proving historical truth of Gospels. Medical records. Eyewitness accounts. Physical artifacts. All preserved by a soldier who spent 9 years saving what he'd tried to kill. Jonathan stood in that chamber, looking at 2,000 years of faith made tangible. All 12 sites secured. All 30,000 artifacts protected. 2 hours to spare. Erasers struck at 48 hours. Found military protection. Vatican security. International authorities. Empty targets. Plan failed completely. Because a centurion 2,000 years ago had faith someone would come. And an actor who'd spent 5 years understanding Jesus was chosen to fulfill that faith. Jonathan sat on stone, holding spear, too exhausted to move. Father Dante found him. You did it. Save them all. Jonathan shook his head. I didn't save anything. Longinus saved them. 2,000 years ago. I just found what he left. Father Dante smiled. That's what witnesses do. Find truth and tell it. Longinus witnessed crucifixion. You witnessed his testimony. Now the world will witness both. The spear felt warm. Not hot. Just warm. Like heartbeat. Like alive. Like satisfied. Purpose fulfilled. Memory shared. Witness passed. Jonathan finally understood why he'd been chosen to play Jesus. Not because he was a great actor, but because he needed to become someone who could think like Jesus. Feel like Jesus. Understand his heart deeply enough to unlock secrets a soldier had hidden for the faithful. The role hadn't been preparation for fame. It had been preparation for this. For becoming bridge between ancient witness and modern world. For being pure enough to be trusted with the most important discovery in Christian history. For being brave enough to use it. 3 weeks later, Jonathan stood in Vatican City. The Pope requested this meeting. In a private chamber, Jonathan, Father Dante, and Cardinal Toretti sat with the Holy Father. The spear lay between them. Still warm. When you touched the spear, what did you feel? I felt his guilt. But more his love. By the time he hit it, he wasn't a soldier. He was a man forgiven for the unforgivable. 9 years making sure forgiveness would echo across time. We studied all 12 sites. All 30,000 artifacts. They prove faith and history are not separate. Jesus was a real man who walked real roads, bled real blood, changed real people. Longinus documented everything. Dates, locations, medical details, historical record. Cardinal Toretti leaned forward. But there's something else. From Cappadocia archive. He slid a photograph across Longinus's final journal page. Father Dante translated. March 14th, AD 42. Tomorrow I die. But I must record the vision Jesus gave me. He showed me future. Fragments. I saw a man. Looked like Jesus. Spoke his words. But he was not Jesus. He was a witness. A bridge. Someone who would learn to think with Jesus's heart so he could unlock what I hidden. He will find the spear. See through my eyes. Save what I preserved. Through him, millions will see truth. I don't know his name. When he will come. But I know. He is chosen. By the one I killed. The one who forgave me. Jonathan's hands shaking. He's describing me. 2,000 years before I was born. Father Dante's voice gentle. Not just you. The chosen. The show. Everything. You spent 5 years portraying Jesus to 600 million people. Learning his words. His heart. That wasn't coincidence. That was preparation. The Pope walked to window. You know why the spear chose you? Purity of heart isn't perfection. It's willingness to see truth even when uncomfortable. You spent 5 years trying to understand a man you never met. Trying to honor him. That humility. That dedication. That made you worthy. I'm not worthy. Just an actor. Longinus was just a soldier. Peter just a fisherman. God doesn't call the qualified. He qualifies the called. You were called to play Jesus. But chosen for this. The cardinal pulled out a document. We're announcing tomorrow. All 12 sites. All artifacts. Full testimony. Biggest archaeological event in modern history. We want you at the press conference. As the one who found them. The witness who carried Longinus's witness forward. What happens to the spear? The Pope placed his hand on it. Displayed in a new museum. Museum of Living Testimony. Beside it, 2 stories. Longinus, centurion who killed Christ and became his greatest defender. And Jonathan Roumie, actor who portrayed Christ and became key to unlocking his historical truth. 2 men. 2,000 years apart. Both chosen. Both witnesses. Both proof forgiveness echoes across time. Jonathan touched the spear one more time. No vision. Just warmth. A whisper like thank you. Longinus passed his witness. Jonathan accepted it. Now the world would see what a Roman soldier and modern actor both learned. That the greatest stories are true. History and faith are one. Forgiveness isn't just theology. It is proof. Living. Breathing. Echoing across 2,000 years. Waiting for those brave enough to touch it and see. 6 months later. Museum of Living Testimony opened in Rome. Jonathan stood before the spear's display. Thousands lined up. To touch glass. To feel what he felt. The museum told everything. Longinus's journey from killer to saint. Jonathan's from actor to witness. 12 sites. 30,000 artifacts. Proof Jesus walked, breathed, changed history. But more. Forgiveness. Father Dante approached. Most visited part? Not the spear. The video. You describing becoming Longinus. People weep. They see themselves in him. Soldiers who've done terrible things. People carrying guilt. Wondering if they're too broken. They see the man who killed God was forgiven. Realize maybe they can be too. Jonathan looked at spear through glass. Still warm. Glowing. Choosing people. Museum discovered something. Anyone pure of heart could touch it. Pure didn't mean perfect. Meant humble. Seeking truth. Willing to see uncomfortable things and still believe forgiveness real. Every day, hundreds touched the spear. Some saw visions. Each saw what they needed. Veterans saw Jesus beside him at war. Woman who'd lost her child heard, "She is with me." Teenagers saw crucifixion, heard, "Truly this was the Son of God." The spear held everyone's memory now. Living record of faith across time. Jonathan's phone buzzed. Dallas Jenkins. Season 6 starts filming. Ready to play Jesus? Jonathan smiled. I never stopped. He looked at Spear. Felt warmth through glass. 5 years playing Jesus had been preparation for becoming witness. Now, going back? That wasn't acting. That was testimony. Carrying forward what Longinus started. Bridge between ancient truth and modern hearts. Museum would tell Longinus's story. The Chosen would continue Jesus's story. Jonathan? Living proof both stories real. Both true. Both still choosing people. Transforming them. Whispering across centuries, I am with you. Boys. Father Dante placed hand on shoulder. Ready? Press conference. Another site discovered. Longinus left more than 12. Whole network. We're just beginning. Jonathan walked toward exit. Behind him, Spear glowed brighter. Not magic. Memory. Living memory of greatest forgiveness in human history. That memory just beginning to spread. If you made it this far, you're amazing. Drop a comment and tell us what you think. Do you believe some roles choose us? We love hearing from viewers worldwide. If this moved your heart, smash that like button and subscribe. You're helping us share stories of faith, courage, and discoveries everywhere. Click the next video for another inspiring story that will strengthen your faith. Thanks for watching. Remember, the greatest stories aren't just told. They're lived, discovered, waiting for someone pure of heart to find them and brave enough to share them. Maybe one is waiting for you.